Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Dialogue. I'm Taimur Shamil. The Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman would be visiting Pakistan on 16th and 17th of this month, which means tomorrow, and he would be here for 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. Pakistan and Saudi Arabia have enjoyed a very strong relationship for the last several decades. Both countries have stood with each other through thick and thin. They have been with each other, and Saudi Arabia especially has at many times been there for Pakistan whenever there were difficult times for Pakistan. And Pakistan has reciprocated that, not just once but several times. And Pakistan stands with Saudi Arabia. This visit of Saudi Crown Prince is very important for Pakistan and also for Saudi Arabia as well. It is also interesting to note that Pakistan is the first stop of Mohammed bin Salman. He is on his tour to different countries in the region. He would be visiting several other countries, but the first stop would be in Pakistan, and this certainly has a significance which I just mentioned. Today we'll discuss about Pakistan and Saudi relations. Both are strategic partners. There is a big Pakistani diaspora in Saudi Arabia. There are many experts, doctors, IT specialists, and as I said earlier, many big Pakistani diaspora working in Saudi Arabia. This would be a new era, according to many experts, and Mohammed bin Salman visiting Pakistan on the invitation of Prime Minister Imran Khan would be setting a new era in Pakistan-Saudi Arabia relations. To discuss this, we have our special guest in the studios today. Our first guest is Professor Dr. Mohammed Munir. He is a professor of strategic studies at National Defence University, Islamabad. Sir, welcome to the show. Our second guest is Air Vice Marshal retired Ikram Bhatti, a renowned senior defence analyst and an expert on Pakistan's relations with Saudi Arabia and Pakistan's foreign policy. Sir, welcome to the show. Dr. Munir, starting with today's discussion, we'll continue our discussion in a while, but before that, we are going to see a package on Pakistan and Saudi Arabia relations, and after that, we'll continue our discussion.
Arriving in Pakistan on 16th February, the 33-year-old Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is the eldest son of King Salman bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is on a mission to transform the Saudi kingdom into a modern economy, and he's pushing technology as a key enabler and driver of the transformation. His Vision 2030 includes a greater focus on technology. At the same time, he announced staggeringly ambitious plans to wean the country off its dependence on oil income. Under the Crown Prince, Saudi Arabia is progressing and the world has shown great interest, flocking to attend his inaugural Future Investment Initiative in Riyadh, which was also attended by a Pakistani delegation headed by Prime Minister Imran Khan. World leaders are hailing Prince Mohammed bin Salman's modernization reforms as a long overdue breath of fresh air in the country needed. Saudi women are allowed to drive for the first time. Saudi movie lovers are watching Hollywood blockbusters again in more than 3 decades. Foreign investment is flowing in. Also, Prince Mohammed bin Salman is advocating a return to a more moderate form of Islam. Prince Mohammed bin Salman's crowning achievement during his tenure has been to empower an increasingly enterprising and well-educated female segment of Saudi society. Part of the driving force behind the long overdue reforms is Saudi Arabia's extremely young population. The young Crown Prince's new appointments reflect the youth of Saudi Arabia's population. Saudi Arabia and Pakistan have always closely cooperated to achieve the common goals of regional peace and stability. They have stood in solidarity with each other in difficult times. A 40-member Saudi government's delegation and over 100 Saudi and Pakistani business leaders will be accompanying the Crown Prince on his visit. During the visit, both Pakistan and Saudi Arabia are expected to sign 4 memorandums of understanding worth $15 billion. This visit will further strengthen Pakistan-Saudi Arabia relations. Alamdar Sayyed, PTV World, Islamabad.
You just saw the package on Pakistan and Saudi Arab relations. It rightly said that Mohammed bin Salman's visit to Pakistan would be the dawn of a new era in Pakistan-Saudi Arabia relations. Dr. Munir, what is the significance of this visit? And as I said earlier, this would be the first stop that Mohammed bin Salman would be visiting Pakistan, and then he would go for other countries. What is the significance of Pakistan-Saudi Arabia relations at this point?
I think this visit is being carried out at a very critical time, and the nature of visit is also very important. First is that because Pakistan and Saudi Arabia have very good political relations, but this time these political relations need to be translated into economic relations, trade relations, because if you have very good political relation and even defense relations, if you don't have on the same level, you don't have the economic relation or trade relations, so that relation could not be sustained. According to theory of economic interdependence, the countries can enhance cooperation through economic cooperation. So this is the foundation of your future relations. So I think this is one thing that in past we were having very good relation at the political level, and now we are also trying to have our relation also in economics and other kind of thing. And both countries, we have young leadership, and both countries want to build new. We want to build new Pakistan. They want to build new Saudi Arabia. So this is a new context in which I think there will be a lot of scope for cooperation between the two countries, and especially in the perspective of CPEC also, there's a lot of opportunities for Saudis to also invest in Pakistan, and we also need, because of Pakistan economic situation, also demand that we should have some, and this will also lead to further cooperation, further confidence if Saudi Arabia invests in Pakistan. So it will also provide a conducive environment for other countries that they will have more confidence on Pakistan.
Sir Bhatti, this visit of Mohammed bin Salman to Pakistan, as I said earlier, since Pakistan and Saudi Arabia enjoy strong relations for the last several decades, recently Saudi Arabia was under few pressures, but Prime Minister Imran Khan visited Saudi Arabia. Pakistan also needs Saudi Arabia's support in many areas, and Saudi Arabia would be supporting Pakistan. What is the significance of Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, visiting Pakistan at this point?
Well, as you said, ever since the independence of Pakistan, it was in early 50s, probably 1951, 52, that we had the first treaty of friendship between the two countries. And thereafter, the relationship turned into the military arena, and it was since 1969, there has been a very close cooperation between the armed forces of the two countries, and which is also a very important segment of the relationship between the two countries. Besides, of course, Saudi Arabia housing the two holiest places of Islam, which is, of course, has a very strong sentimental and emotional bondage between Pakistanis and Saudi Arabia. However, over the years, we have seen that the relationship between the two countries has almost stagnated at a particular level, and it didn't go beyond that. While there have been little ups and downs because of the developments in the region, be it the wars in the region, be it the Iranian element, and of course be it the most recent the development in Yemen. So, but we have seen that the two countries have been able to successfully surpass these hurdles. But again, we see that the relationships had almost stagnated, and whereas Pakistan has been importing almost 90% of its oil from Saudi Arabia, we have been exporting a lot of manpower from here, but there has been a huge potential of Pakistani exports to Saudi Arabia, which is yet to be fully exploited. Plus, there is a huge potential of Saudi investment in Pakistan, which over the years did not come about, or the two countries did not move into this arena. And with this visit coming up, I think this gives an opportunity to both the countries to take the relationship to a next higher level.
Right.
Whereas there will be an opportunity for Saudi Arabia to invest into Pakistan in different sectors which are available for investment, especially as you mentioned CPEC. And besides petrochemical, there is agriculture, there is infrastructure where Saudi Arabia can invest and benefit from this investment and take away the profit from here, or even the agriculture produce, for example. So I think this visit becomes important because when the Crown Prince visits, they'll be able to, of course, enter into several agreements which will bring about and materialize these investments, and hopefully not only that the relationship between the two countries will strengthen, I think it will be to the benefit of both the countries, especially for the people of Pakistan.
Certainly, and for the people of Pakistan. But interestingly, Dr. Munir, what we have seen in Saudi Arabia is that the Crown Prince has a different way of looking at things. He's unconventional in many ways. The way he has taken steps to open up the society, for that matter. He has taken some very bold decisions regarding Saudi Arabia's foreign policy. Having said that, the regional alliances are also changing. In South Asia, for that matter, in the Middle East, we see things are happening differently. At this point, Saudi Arabia and Pakistan would be signing, as Sir Bhatti said, several MOUs. What would be the significance of Pakistan-Saudi Arabia relations, or let's say, what would be the future of Pakistan and Saudi Arabia relations, keeping all these things into account?
As I mentioned earlier, that economic cooperation is the base for future cooperation, because if you have good economic cooperation, it will definitely enhance your cooperation in future as well. So, keeping in with the regional environment, as you said, regional alliances, I think that is also important, that Modi was trying to isolate Pakistan. And I think this shows that India has totally failed, that because they were trying to have some kind of cooperation with Saudi Arabia and want to, that Pakistan should be isolated. But I think that effort will Pakistan, that coming of Saudi Arabia so close to Pakistan, will also, fail Indian effort to isolate Pakistan. This is one. And secondly, Pakistan's role in Middle East and in the Muslim world has been very, very, very important, because Pakistan has been neutral in all the tensions between the Muslim world, and we are playing the role as a neutral. But in case of Saudi Arabia, we have the role of neutral, positive neutral. We have our relationship on the reciprocity, because Saudi Arabia is helping too much to Pakistan. So Pakistan is also has a lot of, in that sense, Pakistan want to cooperate with Saudi Arabia as well. So there is a lot of commonalities this time. As you mentioned, that he need business this time, because this time one thing that will be different, that they will also fix a mechanism for the implementation of these agreements.
Rightly said. But Pakistan needs business, certainly, and that is what Prime Minister Imran Khan has said on different platforms. What specifically Saudi Arabia would be looking for from Pakistan? Because Pakistan also stationed brigades earlier in the past, and strategically both countries have been working very closely.
Yes, I think one of the important component of cooperation is you should have complex interdependence. You have cooperation in multifarious field, and especially in defense cooperation is one of the main component of your cooperation. And secondly, one of the important component for cooperation is also strategic cooperation. We have only few countries with we have strategic cooperation, and Saudi Arabia is one of the countries with whom we have strategic cooperation. Because even the countries which have economic interdependence or security dependence, that is not sufficient reason. The strategic cooperation is the sufficient reason. So long-term cooperation. So with Saudi Arabia, we would be having long-term cooperation, and I think that our relationship with Saudi Arabia will be very bright, and especially in the keeping in view, they want to have investment in Pakistan, especially in France sector, and also in refinery, and there are many areas. There are a lot of potential in Pakistan for Saudi's investment. That would, because the world is changing, globalization coming, and because of changes coming on in West, and especially in Europe and in America, I think Saudi Arabia will also try to find new avenues. That Pakistan is one of the important venues.
Marshal Bhatti, many experts are of the view that China primarily would be going through Central Asia to tap its potential or the market potential in Europe. But China and Pakistan would be working on exploiting the potential that is there in the Middle East. In this way, Pakistan and China and regional countries would be working on something very, very significant for the region. Saudi Arabia in that sense is very important for Pakistan and for China. And as Dr. Munir said, Saudi Arabia would also be kind of dependent, let's say, or would be trying to have better relations with China and with Pakistan both. How do you see these alliances, regional alliances?
Certainly, because China remains one of the very big buyers of energy, especially hydrocarbons in the world. And Saudi Arabia happens to be one of the biggest suppliers. So China would be looking forward to procuring oil from Saudi Arabia through Gwadar and along the CPAC into China, which will make it more secure for the Chinese. It will make it more economical in terms of number of days it would take for this oil to reach China. So there is commonality of interest. And while we apparently see that the Saudis are in the American camp, I think they have kept their options open, and they have made successfully overtures towards China and developing relationship, both economic and trade, and that is how we see that the Saudis have becoming an active partner in CPAC. And I just like to comment on the maturity of relationship between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. We find that India and Iran both emerge as very significant elements in this relationship in terms of their sensitivity, because Iran happens to be Pakistan's neighbor, and Pakistan ought to have a cordial relationship with its neighbor, and we find that there is acrimony between Iran and Saudi Arabia, whereas Saudi Arabia, for its own needs to have a good trade relationship with India, which happens to be Pakistan's enemy. So there is an understanding and appreciation of these interests on both the sides, and they're respecting each other's sensitivities. And Pakistan has cordial relationship with Iran, and on the other side we find that Saudi Arabia is having a similar good relations with India, and they are planning investments over there. So I think that this actually clearly indicates the understanding of each other's interests and appreciation and respecting each other's interests, and a very, I think, very impressive demonstration of maturity on both the sides, which will allow this relationship to strengthen and go to the next level.
Dr. Munir, as Air Vice Marshal Bhatti is saying, we are moving towards a more interdependent region, and in such circumstances, certainly all the countries have to be realistic about the developments that are going on. Would it be of any concern for the Iranian, let's say, friends, that Mohammed bin Salman is coming in Pakistan, and he certainly would be spending and signing a lot of MOUs in Pakistan? Should it concern Iran, or where do we stand at the moment?
I think Iran would, if you see the Iranian and Saudi Arabian strategic rivalry, definitely they might be having some concern, but at the same level they understand that Pakistan's relationship with Saudi Arabia is independent of Iran, because we also want to develop our relationship with Iran, and we had always been positive and neutral, that we want to have independent relationship with Iran, as well as we want to have independent relationship with Iran, and our relationship with Saudi Arabia will not have any negative effect on our relationship with Iran, and it will not be against Iran. It is just for the benefit of two countries, Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. And same like we have we can develop our relationship with Iran, and we are encouraging Iranians as well to please come and invest in Pakistan, because there is no harm. And there is also talk of IP gas pipeline between Iran and Pakistan. Only because of American sanctions, again, this project could not be materialized. But there is a lot of scope with of our economic cooperation with Iran as well. So Iran, I think, also understand the ground realities, and they understand Pakistan's compulsions to have cooperation with Saudi Arabia, as well as we also want to have good relationship with Iran. And Pakistan want to play a positive role in for the good relationship of Saudi Arabia and Iran as well.
Iran. And so, Bhatti, you just mentioned Pakistan and China. By the way, Mohammed bin Salman would also be visiting India, China, Malaysia, and Indonesia after Pakistan, his trip to Pakistan. Saudi Arabia has been in the American camp, as you said earlier, but as I mentioned earlier, that the regional alliances are also changing. A few months back, we also saw Mohammed bin Salman met President Putin of Russia, and both were very amicable, and there were photographs, and the optics were very interesting, by the way. Recent pressures on Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, how the Western media was covering it, and this decision or this initiative by Mohammed bin Salman of visiting Pakistan and then other countries in the East, how do you see it? Is Saudi Arabia, let's say, drifting slowly, gradually away from the Western camp? Do you see it that way?
Well, not immediately, but at the same time, I think they are mindful of their dependence or over vulnerability to this very strong relationship they had developed over the years with the Western world.
So sorry to cut you. We have Prime Minister would be addressing in a while. We'll take a break and we'll continue our discussion after this. Welcome back. We are discussing Pakistan and Saudi Arabia relations. The Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, would be visiting Pakistan tomorrow, and he would be here in Pakistan, Islamabad, for the next 2 days. As Prime Minister Imran Khan just said a while ago, that this investment of Saudi Arabia in Pakistan is unprecedented, and this is going to certainly benefit Pakistan, people at the grassroots level, and also to Saudi Arab as well. Both Pakistan and Saudi Arabia would be working for the betterment of the region. Pakistan supports Saudi Arab in all its matters, and both countries have enjoyed a very strong relationship for the last several decades. Air Vice Marshal Bhatti, talking about these relations, before the break we were discussing about Saudi Arab's position internationally at the moment. Regional alliances are changing, China is rising, then there is Russia. We see in Afghanistan things are getting better now, and we hope that peace would prevail in Afghanistan soon. While this is happening, while China and Pakistan are working on China-Pakistan economic corridor, do you see Saudi Arab, under the leadership of King and the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman especially, moving closer to the Eastern Bloc, to China and Russia and other countries in the region?
Well, you would recall that in not too distant a past, the American President Mr. Trump had made a comment that all these Middle Eastern countries, big oil producers, are totally dependent on America for their security, and that they have to pay for it. And I'm sure that comment must have made these countries, especially Saudi Arabia, to think and think deep in order to reduce their strategic dependence on America alone, and diversify their strategic nature of their security paradigm in terms of developing relations with countries like Russia, China, even Turkey, and maybe strengthening or taking to the next level relations with Pakistan. And I think Saudi Arabia is well on its path to do that. While we can say that Saudi Arabia cannot afford to dissociate with the USA in the near future, but I think they will continue to develop concurrent relationships with Russia, with China, with Turkey and other important countries, so that their reliance for their security needs is not in just one basket, that is the US. And I think they have embarked upon this, and it may take a couple of years, maybe next 5-10 years for it to materialize. But I think they are certainly looking forward to making their strategic security needs more diverse, and of course so that they're able to meet their threats by not relying on just the US.
And certainly the direction in that sense is correct, because they are moving in the direction where they would be improving their relations with countries in the East more. Dr. Munir, talking about this investment that the Crown Prince would be signing a lot of MOUs, and he would be accompanied by a high-powered Saudi delegation, which would include other members of the royal family, businessmen and high officials. They would sign MOUs, and this investment, as Prime Minister Imran Khan said, is unprecedented. And this would bring the kind of change that Prime Minister Imran Khan promised with the people of Pakistan. So this investment, and what kind of change are we expecting from this investment?
I think as we were discussing earlier, that if our focus is also on economic cooperation between Saudi Arabia has the capacity to invest a lot in Pakistan. There is talk of about $10 billion US that they would be investing in Pakistan. There has been this time they would be having about more than 7 billion, MOUs and agreements. So all many areas are being covered. One is the refinery. I will tell you that they will be investing, and many CPEC projects they would be also investing, and further they would be also investing in our cultural relations. We will be having media relationship. That is new areas in which they will be investing, and there will be a lot of scope for cooperation, and there will be a lot of job opportunities, as Imran said, and I think that will have a lot of good impact, because when one country is investing, and it will have impact in other ways, that other countries will also come, especially the Gulf countries, because Gulf Council countries members, they follow Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia is a big country in Gulf. So that will have another impact on investment in Pakistan.
Yeah, right. And Irwas Marshal Bhatti, energy projects and investments in petrochemical and recycling certainly is very important. And there are many other mineral resources sector as well. And Saudi Arab would be interested in spending, and they would be spending this much money in Pakistan. Strengthening these relations would also stabilize Saudi Arab for that matter. And when Prime Minister Imran Khan visited Saudi Arab and he was talking to the Saudi media, he said that Pakistan would want to stand as a country in the Community of Nations, a country which stands for peace and stability. So when it comes to, let's say, other countries in the Middle East, Pakistan would like those countries and the Muslim countries to be friends and working for the betterment of that region. Do you think that we are heading now in the right direction, and this visit would also basically would be an example of that thing what Prime Minister Imran Khan said?
Certainly, because you see, when you look at the recent history of wars in the world, we find that most of the wars have taken place in countries which are Muslim, which is unfortunate. And I think Saudi Arabia and Pakistan are two countries among the Muslim nations who are definitely in a position to bring about reconciliation within the Muslim world and reduce their vulnerability to such like conflicts which may not be indigenous, which may be instigated by foreign forces, foreign interests, and to bring about greater understanding so that these conflicts do not recur and there is peace. And I think this visit will definitely provide an opportunity to two countries to share their ideas on this and reduce vulnerabilities to each other, reduce the scope of conflict, and in case of there any anxieties or there are any inhibitions or there are any issues facing anywhere within the Muslim countries, they be discussed and addressed in a peaceful and amicable manner. And I think if this such like interaction continues, I think we are in a position to address these issues and make the Muslim countries, the OIC countries, definitely more understanding, more peaceful, and more friendly towards each other.
Right. Dr. Munir, former Chief of Army Staff, Pakistan Chief of Army Staff, General Rahil Sharif, is the head of the Coalition Force of Islamic Countries. That certainly is an important position. So having a former army chief in that position also gives Pakistan a leverage over there in Saudi Arabia, and this certainly itself is something very important for Pakistan, and this shows the intensity and the seriousness of the relation of Pakistan-Saudi Arab. How do you see these kind of positions and these optics?
I think this Islamic coalition against terrorism is very important forum, because Pakistan is a successful story of war against terrorism. So the Muslim countries can learn from Pakistan experience, and I think that could be one reason that Pakistan has been asked to given the command to General Rahid, who is from Pakistan, because Pakistan has the experience, and Pakistan militarily is a strong country, and Pakistan army has shown that it has the capacity and it has gained the experience against terrorism in Pakistan, and Pakistan has become a success story. In that sense, Pakistan can help other Muslim countries in this. And thirdly, Pakistan is also producing a lot of weaponry, and I think instead of these Muslim countries which are exporting their weaponry from Western countries, and they can also Pakistan can offer that, and it will help Pakistan defense production, and it will have an impact of economic defense. I think that can improve further to our economy.
Right. And Vice Marshal Bhatti, while talking about the strategic partnership of Pakistan and Saudi Arab, do you think that Saudi Arab can also, certainly as Dr. Munir was saying, learn from Pakistan, the way Pakistan has successfully fought extremism and terrorism in the region, especially inside Pakistan?
Certainly, I think as we just talking about General Rahid Sharif being the head of this Islamic countries counter-terrorism coalition, the fact remains that over the last 20 years, the casualties or the deaths that have occurred within the Muslim countries have been more at the hands of the Muslims and less at the hands of the foreign forces. So take it Libya, be it Iraq, be it Syria, be it Afghanistan, be it Pakistan, it was Muslim on Muslim.
But the instigators certainly were there.
True, but the question is, when we have this international Islamic or Muslim counter-terrorism coalition, I think if such a force can play its role effectively in bringing about peace within these countries who have been vulnerable to or victim of terrorism, be it internal or be it foreign instigated, and if they can help these countries in managing this menace and even use a political instrument to bring about greater understanding and reconciliation and accommodation within these countries, I think it would have done a great service to the Muslim Ummah. And they are in a position to do that. The only shortcoming over here is that they need to include Iran, Iraq, Syria maybe, because these are the countries that are currently not included within this scope. And if over a period of time there can be a greater understanding at the Ummah level, be it the OIC level or be it bilaterally between these countries and Saudi Arabia, I think it would be a very fantastic achievement by this force.
Right, and very rightly said. And this is also, Dr. Munir, what Prime Minister Imran Khan said when he was visiting Saudi Arabia, that Pakistan looks for that kind of mediation that Pakistan can do for the Middle Eastern countries, and mentioning Iran and other countries. By the way, since Prime Minister himself visited Saudi Arabia and UAE recently, Pakistani officials, Chief of Army Staff and other high officials have been visiting Iran for that matter. And this also certainly is something very important that Pakistan has shown, the importance of being neighbors. So what is, let's say, the message to the neighboring countries and to the countries in the Middle East from the Pakistani side?
I think, as I said earlier, that Pakistan has a good image in Muslim countries, and Pakistan can play a very important role. Only thing is that when we start some kind of mediation, there is need to follow up. Because when we are saying something, we should actually do something, because there is need at the Foreign Office level that they should continue this mediation between in Iran as well as in Saudi Arabia simultaneously, and there should be follow up for that, because we start one during Nawaz Sharif, this process was started, but later on there was no follow up. I think the follow up should continue. We should not be fear that these kind of things in efforts we will not success. I think we should be hopeful and we should continue our efforts.
Gentlemen, thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us. Dr. Munir, pleasure having you on the show. Thank you for your time. Ikram, Bhatti, thank you for your time. Pleasure having you on the show. Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, as we were discussing, certainly enjoy a very strong relationship. And Prime Minister Imran Khan said that Saudi Arabia would be spending certainly a lot of money in Pakistan. The Crown Prince and the high officials of Saudi Arabia would be signing a lot of MOUs with Pakistan, and this is unprecedented. This would bring in the kind of change that Prime Minister Imran Khan promised with the people of Pakistan, that we are expecting. The change would come at the grassroots level, but strategically also, this relationship is very important, the relationship of Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. The regional alliances are changing, and Pakistan stands with its friends, and Pakistan stands with Saudi Arabia. Thank you for watching today's show. See you next time. Khud Hafiz.